Revelation 18 is Rome. It's a city built on 7 hills. The colors are scarlet and purple, the colors of the archbishops and the cardinals. So absolutely this is the Roman papacy of Revelation 17.
All right, so then we get people, and nobody talks about it anymore in these Protestant churches, and the ecumenical movement has been quite successful in doing that. We've discussed that on many shows, and I know you've dealt with it. But let's show the people really quickly how the papacy never changes. And I can give you an example, and I believe it was 2000, Pope John Paul II, what he did was he made Sir Thomas More a saint. Now... He is the patron saint of our politicians.
And the lawyers.
Yeah, this is in 2000, folks. So now let's give a little bit of history of Sir Thomas More. I know you know about him. Why don't you tell the people about his deeds and why he was made a saint, and how could anybody worship this man? Every year, when the Supreme Court opens, all of our politicians run with the cardinals, and they go up to these masses all over our country. They call it the Red Mass.
Red Mass.
Why? And they worship Sir Thomas More. Now, if the papacy has changed, in fact, and our government doesn't follow them, does any of our government officials, Joe Biden included, who's a card-carrying Catholic, shouldn't he know this history?
Of course they know it. They know it like the back of their hands. And they laugh in their secret little meetings about it. Thomas More made Sir Thomas More was the great persecutor of William Tyndale. William Tyndale is the father of the English Bible. Without the William Tyndale, you have no AD 1611. You have no Geneva Bible.
Right.
William Tyndale was the greatest Greek scholar of his day and one of the godliest and separated man to the Lord's work in Protestant history. He was a wonderful man. And Sir Thomas More put him to death. Sir Thomas More burned all of the editions of his Bible. Tyndale would have put out an edition, and Sir Thomas More would come and purchase it from him. Tyndale would take the money, and More would burn that entire edition, and Tyndale would take that money for make a better edition. So Sir Thomas More was a great hater of the Bible, the murderer of William Tyndale. His grandson became the Jesuit provincial of England, and this Sir Thomas More is the father of communism, according to the Soviets. They say that you trace the beginning of Soviet Bolshevik communism to Sir Thomas More. And I have that quoted in my PowerPoint. And a contemporary of Sir Thomas More was Ignatius Loyola.
Yeah, and so we have Pope John Paul II in I believe 2000 canonizes him, and all of our politicians worship him. Folks, has the papacy changed?
Not at all. And the other issue is to show that the papacy has not changed. It's never changed its doctrine. So we don't hate Roman Catholic people. We don't hate bishops. We don't hate archbishops. We don't hate the Pope. We hate their doctrines, and we hate their deeds. The Lord hated the doctrines of the Nicolaitans, and he hated the deeds of the Nicolaitans, but he never hated the Nicolaitans. And so the doctrines of the papacy have never changed. Unum Sanctum is still in full force and effect. The papal bull of 1302 by Boniface VIII, that the Pope has the universal right to rule the consciences and souls of all men, and there's no salvation outside the Roman Catholic Church, which is exactly what Benedict reiterated. So when Benedict reiterated that last year or so, he's just reaffirming the bull Unum Sanctum. Nothing in the doctrine of the papacy has changed. The Council of Trent is in still full force and effect. Every pope, when he comes to power, takes an oath that he will enforce the Council of Trent. And you can see this in the doctrines of Vatican II, the documents of Vatican II. Nothing's changed. And Trent is the edifice, it's the foundation for the Jesuit order's counter-reformation that is still in full force and effect today. We still are accursed heretics, and for Roman Catholic people who enjoy personal liberty and political liberty, they are accursed liberals. And both of us are put under the condemnation of accursed be all heretics and liberals, as said in the Council of Trent.
Yeah, and some of these doctrines, I mean, when you start really, I've spent some shows discussing them, one being how they worship Mary, and then, of course, how they've changed the Bible, and then, of course, this doctrine of papal infallibility, which is really amazing, that was only put into place in 1870, I believe. But a friend of mine, knows that I was a former Catholic, and I discussed this issue. They brought me two books. One is very interesting. It says The Crusade, the story of the Bible. This is for Catholic children now.